Greetings, welcome to CS120 Concepts of Computing. We are on the Build a Computer project. More aptly, you are going to design a computer. If you go into there, you'll see there's not a lot of directions, so that's why you're watching this video. But the gist of it is you're going to fill this file out, right? So click on that link. It will open up a blank document. Well, a blank doc as far as you need to fill it out. And this all goes back to what computer you're trying to build, right? So the most important part of this are these three questions, right? Because everything else, and we'll see in a second what I mean by that, everything else is based on that. Now, another important thing I'm going to note right here is scroll all the way down, because one, most students forget this is even here, and then a 30-year grade is there, right? So you'll pretty much fail if you don't actually fill this section out. But I'm going to be bouncing back and forth explaining how this works. So what are you trying to do? Well, we talked about, am I building a gaming computer? Am I building a CAD computer? Like, what am I trying to do? And it really narrows down to, and if you're building a gaming computer, pick a game, right? That's going to be a key important piece, and we'll see that in my example. Now, I'm going to use a silly example, so don't copy this because, right, it's not, you need to do your own. But as an example, right, what am I trying to answer, right? Well, what are the system requirements for the game, right? Hello Kitty Island Adventure. What performance do I want? And then future upgrades, right? Do I want to be able to do future upgrades? So what are the bare minimum, but what can I do above and beyond that, right? So you can see what I'm saying, define my problem. My problem is, right, I need to know all of this information. So when you go in there, again, what are you doing? Are you building a CAD computer, a video processing computer, a computer whose battery can last all day, right? So you need to know parts that are low energy consumption. So again, you can see the detail that it's talking about when it says, what do you need to do? And then how are you going to do this, right? So this is going to be a desktop gaming computer for mid-level. And this is important, right? Because as you go through, you don't want to spend more money than you need to. You want to find what you need, right? So identify this, and again, I do want to be able to give it some capabilities above that, and then boom, it's going to be a desktop, because generally that's what gaming computers are. So again, it gives me the ability to do other pieces. All right, now, if we go down to the bottom, you'll see, step one, I decided what I wanted, right? Decided what I wanted, and the basics I will need to research, right? So you can see, right, you're filling this out as you go. Now, I haven't done any actual things, but this is the next step, right? Hello Kitty Island Adventure specs. So I go over there, Island Kitty expense, and this is literally what you would copy then into your documentation down here. Now you'll notice a lot of this, there's more lines, right? I added more lines than I actually gave you. And remember, right click is your friend in order to add more pieces to that. All right, so I'm going to give you more time to work on this. I'm not going to spend too much more time on that, but again, you can kind of look through what I did, right? There's every single step I found, this device, this device. Now, how do I know what the steps were? Well, let's go kind of back up to the top of this, because the next step after you've decided what you wanted is to go find those parts. Now, as I mentioned before, you're not going to find everything. Like, I'm giving you the case as an example. You're not going to use this case. You don't have to find a case. But again, what is the product name? Why did you choose it? And again, your reasons. Don't just tell me because it's fast, right? If I see reason it's fast, when I go to do your grade, good reasons, that's not a good reason, right? It meets the specifications. I know I need at least an i5 in order to run this. So, or the equivalent AMD, you can see the recommended a Ryzen 3. So I'm upgraded to Ryzen 7 because I want to make sure this lasts in the future, which is what this says, right? I want to make sure it gives me headroom, i.e. I'm going to be able to run other games on it, right? And things to think about, right? Does this RAM work with this motherboard? Well, there we go. I'm telling you, right, it runs with a motherboard. Why did I pick it? This motherboard works with this processor. Again, those are things that you're going to do the research, right? When you're going down researching what you need, right? This is what you need to do. You need to go and find those web pages, right? So I actually go to here, copy that. I Control C, you can't see that. Boom, I pasted that here, right? So you can see you are researching, but you're also tracking because I'm also grading your Google stuff. Like, this is not just to build a computer. This is a cumulative project where you're also building and showing me you can do Google research in order to figure it. Go, how do I know what I need? Well, that's why you're using Google, right? Keep telling Mr. Terry, I don't know how to do this. Well, again, right? That is why you're doing it. That's why you're doing research. Why do you know? And the biggest thing is you get the standards, right? Get the standards of what are you trying to do as you're looking through this. There we go, right? This is where those requirements came from, so I know what I need, right? So I probably don't need to get an i7. Maybe I just get a better version of an i5, not a little cheaper version of an i5, and it'll last me longer. Again, these are the things that you'll be thinking about as you're going through. Now, as you go down, if you tell me you want to watch DVDs, right? Remember, most of this is all defined by right here. What are you trying to do, right? If you want to watch DVDs or Blu-ray, then obviously you're going to have an optical drive, but I didn't put that in mind, so I don't have one either, right? If you're building a desktop, right, and you don't have a mouse and a keyboard, you've built a brick, right, because you have no way to control your games, right? Do you need 2 hard drives? No, but I gave myself an extra one just in case, all right, the SSD as well. So if you, once again, if you have a desktop, you need a monitor. So again, I'm not going to go over every single piece of this, but I went over pretty much everything, right? You're going to step by step, what did you do? And you can see there should be at least one of each of these, but you might have to do, I had to research what the RASM 7 was, right? I didn't know what that was. So again, and then this is just a paragraph form of this, right? So basically, you don't have to write this much information in each of the steps. Again, this is more than enough for a step. But then you kind of explain, what was your thought process? And then personal life. Again, how can you use this project, right? Learning how to know what parts are, stuff like that. How can you use that in your personal life, right? That's what that question is asking. And then there you go. There are the final requirements. So again, be sure that you are, as you're filling this out, going down and looking at these bottom requirements. All right, so hopefully that's enough. Again, if you need to watch this video again, by all means, but that's what you're doing. You're designing a computer and explaining your process and explaining your Google search and thought process in this so you can see what you were trying to do. Again, because you're not allowed to use a system that's already built, right? You can't go to buildmeacomputer.com or anything like that. You need to go out and see each part, right? I need to know that you found each part, not that this site said, okay, use this one, use this part, right? Because I want you to be able to know why, right? Why is it telling you to have an i5? Why is it telling you? Because again, the multi-pronged part of this is you need to know how to build a computer, but also what you need in a computer, right? So I want both of those to be accomplished. All right, that's all I have. Good luck.